freedom at 60 is a lifelong dream of ours that we have finally realized. We have started this YouTube page to share our journey. The part of the trip was from July 20th to August 1st from the Turks and Caicos to Georgetown, Bahama. A 7 travel day, 293-mile trip. We had a great time with beach parties, huge tuna, and some beautiful anchorages along the way. Crew change happened at this time. Welcome Belinda, my first mate, and Jen and Frank. The day of arrival, I thumbed a ride with Steve and Chuck in their cab, and they dropped me at Pablo's laundromat so I could get all the sheets done and my clothes. Well, there I took the time to investigate getting a rental, as cab rides were ridiculously expensive. I was able to get a really nice van at a very reasonable price. This allowed us to go to dinner at Doc Hunt's shack that was on the opposite end of the island from where we were staying. This alone would have cost us more in a cab than the entire van rental. The food and atmosphere were great. On our way back to the marina, we were able to stop at Graceway Supermarket, a very well-stocked place with a full stock of liquor also. The next morning, we ran out for some breakfast, then back to the marina for some pool time. We decided as a group to not pay for another night at the dock and just go anchor off. As we headed down the dock, it was super busy, and we found out there was a beach party just a few miles away, so off we went. Wow, what a party that was. We stayed anchored off the beach until morning, then headed on to our next destination, 70-mile trip to Mayaguna, Bahamas. We got out past the reef and set lines in for the long troll. This was a very rolly day, and Jen was not feeling so good. About halfway across, we had a quadruple header with 4 lines being attacked all at the same time, including the one closest to the boat. I happened to be watching it and saw something large exploded on it. I fought this fish for a while to bring in an Atlantic white tip shark that we proceeded to release. During this time, Frank was upstairs fighting 3 other fish. I took one and fought it until I saw it was another shark and proceeded to break it off. During that time, we lost one of the 2 other fish and was down to our last one. We got the rod down to the lower deck and proceeded to fight it. I was worried we were killing ourselves for another shark, but kept feeling a slight head shake, so was still hoping for a tuna. This ended up being a two-man fight as we were both worn out from fighting these fish, but in the end, it was all worth it. A 60-pound yellowfin tuna, bring me some wasabi. Today we are off to Plana Cay, a small set of uninhabited islands just 47 miles away. As soon as we got past the end of Maguana, there were some large thunderstorms off in the distance, but they stayed far enough that we never really had to worry. Once we arrived at this beautiful beach in Anchorage, we jumped in the water for some snorkeling and ended up with conch for dinner. We took the dinghy to the beach for some relaxation time. The next day was just a 23-mile leg. We started late in the morning from Plana Cay to Atwood Harbor, a well-protected anchorage from almost any winds and a beautiful beach. After arriving, we anchored in 12 feet of water and then proceeded to do some snorkeling. I took the drone up and got a picture of what is called Umbrella Rock. It was super cool, had a small center in the water, and then the top was shaped like an umbrella. I decided to lay in the hammock for a little while. When exiting, I went to lay my phone on the seat, and it ended up sliding off the seat and into the drink. I retrieved it super fast, but still ended up losing it. Thank God I had the foresight to bring a spare and was able to switch the SIM into the new phone. We then proceeded to load the dinghy with some sundonors and head to the beach for some exploring and relaxation. Later in the day, we were joined by a crew on a larger yacht that was traveling in the opposite direction of us. The night was quiet and uneventful, so we all got a great night's sleep. Today we headed to the northeast end of Crooked Island, just 39 miles today, and we would be set to make the crossing over to Long Island in the morning. This was a short and uneventful ride. We caught a couple of barracuda, but the bite was not super. Again, we jumped in the water, and I found a reef that was loaded with small fish and even a couple of nice-sized muttons. Tried to fish for them with some scraps of conch, but no luck. We were treated to a beautiful sunset over the beach and another great night's rest. This was our last open water crossing with this crew. A 70-mile hike broke up into morning and afternoon runs. On the way across, we trolled and only had one knockdown that turned out to be another barracuda. We came around the corner of Long Island and proceeded up to Gordon's Beach Bar, which made for a happy Jen sometime on land. Had a few cocktails and a bite to eat. The owners were super down to earth and a fun little place. After a short break, we continued on and caught a couple nice little blackfin tuna. We proceeded to Anchorage behind Conch Cay. It was nice and calm until the tide changed, and then it got a bit rolly. This was our last travel day with Jen and Frank through some skinny waters up to the cut. By Goat Cay, these were some beautiful waters and just stunning views, almost impossible to capture the beauty on a camera. We anchored off Georgetown and proceeded in by dinghy. There was tons of activity, especially since we have not really seen any other people for days. There was a Goombay festival going on, and we walked around the area for a little while. We all decided to go anchor off of Chat and Chill. They were closed by the time we got there, but enjoyed some time on their beach and were anchored in a nice spot to enjoy their Sunday pig roast. Personally, not a big fan. Food was not great and pricey for what it was. Jen and Frank were leaving the next day, so we decided to get a slip at the Exuma Yacht Club in order to make their departure as smooth as possible. We saw Jen and Frank off the next morning, and Belinda decided to stay on for the next part of the trip. We had 3 days basically to relax in the Georgetown area, so we headed back to Chat and Chill Beach and hung out the rest of Monday there. I took the hookah snorkel rig out and marked the chain on the anchor with zip ties to make it easier for Belinda to tell me how much was out. We did some exploring in the dinghy up behind the Chat and Chill, where there is a blue hole and some really protected anchorages. We then went down and checked out the Day H Sandbar, which consists of a hut on Starfish Beach. We met a couple from Florida that own a condo in Georgetown and had a great afternoon. The next morning we moved up to Hooper's Bay, where I had heard there would be some turtles, but never saw any. We did find a nice reef to snorkel though. The following day we headed up to Emerald Bay, and I made the mistake of staying on the inside, which turned out to be the wrong way as it was super rough from current versus wind water. Not a fun morning. After we made it to the marina, we fueled the boat up with 160.81 gallons of diesel at $5.56 per gallon, a total of $884.91. As always, thanks for coming along on our journey. And the final part of this trip is coming. More fishing, including a marlin. The final leg will be from Georgetown to Palmetto, Florida. See you all soon, Freedom at 60 out.